Hello everyone, my name is Juanita Rogers and I'll be teaching English education. Today my lesson is based off of the novel The Giver. This lesson is hopefully to encourage students to understand what a utopia society is versus a dystopia society, and also to really focus on collaborative learning. So the students will first do a series of activities to introduce them to the novel, so that will be a discussion which I'll talk about later. The main lesson objectives are that students will be able to communicate effectively and positively with one another throughout the lesson. Students will be able to, after this activity, create a project that will bring outside real-world experience into the lesson. Students will learn the value of respect and responsibility through effectively creating a classroom community. Students will be aware of issues globally, nationally, and within their own community. Students will be respectful of diverse opinions and diverse cultures. Students will analyze specific passages and master the art of critical thinking. Lastly, students will demonstrate a knowledge of worlds beyond our own, such as foreign countries, communist countries, third world countries. So, the first thing that we're going to do is have a discussion, which is a pre-reading activity discussing what exactly a utopia is for students who may not know what that is. So, students will be introduced to utopia through different examples of utopian societies. So I have a video on a country who has kind of already established their idea of a utopian society, and that is in China. It's a village in China, and so I will show that video to them to kind of give them an introduction. There's also a video clip from Tomorrowland that I would like to show to the students to also kind of give them an idea of another version of a possible utopia and how that looks. Lastly, students will be shown a Minority Report video clip. This is a utopian world where crime does not happen because it is stopped before it happens, which is kind of an interesting concept. So it's like kind of like it's a dystopian society mixed with a utopian society, so it's interesting to look at. Students will be given instructions after that discussion to create their perfect world community. So students will be asked to pull out a writing tool in their writing journals for this activity and write down like what their ideas of their specific utopia would be. So if they want everybody to wear like black all the time, then they write that down, and that's their idea of a utopia. But if somebody else wants everybody to wear blue all the time, then they put that down in theirs, so it'll vary. Here, there's a list of questions that they will have to guide them in creating their utopia, such as, what is the name of your perfect world community utopia? What is the system of government? And on this question, I expect that students may need help answering that. They may not know all the types of government, so I will give them some examples of what they could pick. What is the physical description? So again, there will be guidance on that if they need it. Number 4, what types of jobs would people have, if any jobs? Number 5, are the people educated, and if so, how? Number 6, would the community ever change or grow or stay the same all the time? Number 7, what are the rules and laws? So that kind of ties back to the government. Number 8, what happens if someone breaks those laws? So obviously these will vary from student to student. Then after they have done this, they will get into groups to discuss their answers. And then they will also discuss more questions that I have for them, such as, what would you do to reach your utopia? What would you be willing to give up to have this utopia? So sometimes things need to be sacrificed. And so what would that be? Would you want to live in this type of world utopia? Or would you rather be able to express your individuality, choices, and freedom? Would you want to live in your group members' utopia? So maybe the students might not like the other person's utopia, and so then they kind of begin to realize that utopia is kind of a hard thing to achieve. Number 5 is, can your group successfully agree upon a utopian society where every group member is perfectly happy and very satisfied with it? So hopefully they're now beginning to realize that either things have to be sacrificed or someone is going to not be getting what they want in their utopia. And then finally, there will be a text-to-world connection, a formative assessment, where students will come together as a whole and will be asked a series of questions in order to help them gain a deeper understanding. So questions would be like, what are the differences from where we live now to what we want it to be? What would have to be added to our own society in order to make it perfect? Will it ever be a possibility? Number 3, what would be lost in this quest for perfection? And number 4, who in our world has tried to make a utopia? So you can kind of connect this to like Hitler and where he had his idea of what a utopian society would be, even though we don't agree with it. He was trying to achieve that, and so that they can make these connections with history as well. And then for homework, students will be given directions for their next assignment, where they will take their idea of a utopia that they just wrote in their journal, and then they will create a brochure, like advertising it, kind of like a home community, and it would have their government in there, the rules, the family units, and so their goal is to provide their classmates with as much detail as possible so they can make an informed choice as to which made-up utopia they would like to visit. They will present their info to the class, and they will decide whose utopia they would like to visit. And then I was thinking that the top utopias could have extra credit so that the students really put in extra work. And then with all this being done, we will begin to read the novel, The Giver, giving them kind of a good foundation. And then that's my lesson.